Hello everyone and welcome to another allotment diary. Now today we are going to have a fairly short episode, I think. Let's just see if I can show you over here. I've got bumblebees living under my shed and they are absolutely huge. I can't quite get them now. I've just opened up the shed and found about half a dozen giant bumblebees in there. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to empty it out over winter and just make sure the floor's sealed and repair the floor. There they come, look. We'll watch over there while we talk and you'll see them come in and go under the shed. So there's quite a lot of them at the moment. We do have a beekeeper on site, so I might chat to him in a minute. Yeah, next time I see him anyway. But what I want to talk about today is it's something I get asked an awful lot. One of the common questions people have about allotments is about weeds. Now, we all suffer from them, and to be perfectly honest, they seem to grow far better than the vegetables we plant. I don't quite know how the weeds do it, but no matter how much you keep on top of them, they always come back. Now, you can see with these beds, I've covered them. This is going to keep the weeds down. So these will be relatively weed free when I lift them. So all of these ones that are covered are going to have some manure dug in and they're going to be lifted probably sort of October, November time and then left over winter. They should be okay over winter because obviously weeds don't grow quite as badly. But for the other beds, these ones here that I've not covered yet, these ones are very easy to weed. I mean, I've not been down for almost a week. I've come down and I've got four of these raised beds and it's taken me five minutes, if that. I've just wandered around, used my fork to get up the couch grass and other things with long roots, and anything else I've just gone over quickly with the hose. It took me a couple of minutes to do that, and it keeps the weeds down. And you do that 2-3 times a week and you'll find that your weeds are gonna go. Now I want to show you some of the weeds I've been digging up, and you know, not showing off or anything, but this is a dandelion root. Okay, you can see they've got very long tap roots. This is why they're hard to get out the ground. This was obviously quite a mature one, but you can see that at some point it's broken off. Someone's pulled it off and it's grown fresh leaves. That's why the leaves are so small. It's regrown. These things are absolutely horrible to get rid of, simply because you can see here where the end of it's broken. That's going to form a new dandelion plant where that's broken off. Unfortunately, it was too deep down and I couldn't get it out. But when you pull these up, it's very important you get all the bits of the weeds out, because otherwise they're just going to come back. This is why I'd never use a rotavator. Something like this gets chopped into a dozen pieces by a rotavator. It's left in the soil. I've got a dozen new dandelion plants coming up in my soil, which of course I don't want. But you can see long tap roots. So these, when they're very small, before they've got to this size, you can just hoe the top off and they'll die. But once they're sort of established, you've got to get the root out. So that means going down quite deep. I mean, the roots, this root's what, about 7 inches, 6-7 inches, maybe slightly longer. But it's not unheard of for these to be sort of 12 to 18 inches deep, if not longer. I mean, some of the docks I've got out, here's a dock leaf. I'm holding that much further away. That's probably a good sort of 10 to 12 inches long, and that's only a small one. Some of these I've got out have been sort of 2 foot long with loads and loads of offshoots. But again, this is another one where you have to get the side shoots off. If you don't get the side shoots off, then again it will grow new leaves and it will re-establish itself. And you can see that's a pain in the rear end to get rid of. Now, next thing I want to show you, just clear it off. Now, one thing people do is they go, oh, I'll plant mint, I like mint, and they plant it in the ground. Now, this is lemon balm. You can see there, that's the leaves. Look at the root that's attached to it. this is everywhere. Someone's planted lemon balm in one of the beds, and the bed is crisscrossed with these thick roots. It's what, a half a centimetre or so thick, and maybe a bit more, and it's absolutely everywhere. And it's a thick carpet of this solid thick root. It really is quite solid, and it's difficult to get out, and obviously it grows absolutely everywhere. That's why if you're growing mint at your plot, put it in a pot. Anything in the mint family has to go in a pot, because otherwise it's going to go everywhere. It spreads like absolute wildfire. Right, other weeds. Now, this innocuous fella here, this is couch grass. It's another one that if I cut this into 10 pieces, there'll be 10 new plants. This is a real pain in the neck, because it grows underground. It can go sort of 8-10 inches underground. You can find it, if not slightly deeper, and it grows through these runners. These runners then come up, and you get. Let me just find a piece of the grass. Here. Okay, so you can see here. You can see the runners there. You can see a piece of the grass there, and you can see the grass up there. The grass is different from normal grass. It's not the same as your lawn grass, and you'll learn to tell the difference with the way it looks. But you can see all the shoots here, all these fresh shoots. There's one there heading off to go and cause havoc. There's sort of fresh shoots at the end there, and again, this is one that you've got to get up by the roots, and any bits of root you leave behind will grow into a new plant. This is why, you know, what I tend to do is I dig a plot, I'll leave it, and then just give it a quick once over again to get out things like these roots. So on these beds here that I've cleared, I'm finding couch grass again, but it's relatively easy to get rid of. Trouble is it comes in from the side. So you see down the side there, it's under there, so it's coming in under the raised bed. Now I could dig the raised bed down, sort of 6-10 inches down, but that's a lot of hard work. Because it's raised up, the grass doesn't come through as much. But when I do, it's got to be pulled immediately, and get as much of the root out as you can, just to give it, you know, a fighting chance. Now, you may be going, well, I use herbicide or something, to weed killer on it. It's all well and good, but the trouble is weed killers don't work very well with couch grass. Now, they will work with your docks and your dandelions. They're actually quite effective. Now, one thing you do with dandelions, if you've got just a few of them, if you get a big pinch of salt and put that right in the middle of the dandelion where the root meets the ground, right in the centre of it, then it will kill the dandelion off, and it will kill the root. Trouble is, obviously, if it goes down too deep, if there's too many of them, you end up using a lot of salt, which can harm the soil. The weed killers, like I said, they're all well and good, but they're not so effective with the grasses, I'm afraid. The only real route with that is to literally pull it out. Mare's tail's the other one. Unfortunately, all that's right at the bottom here, and I really can't find it at the moment. Mare's tail's another one. You're not going to be able to get that out very easily using a weed killer. It just simply doesn't work. The stuff seems to be resistant to everything. I mean, I've been told it's a prehistoric plant, so it's millions of years old, and if that's true, I can understand why, because the stuff's pretty much indestructible. But luckily I've only found it in a few raised beds, and again, where I'm finding it, I'm digging down, I'm getting as much of the roots out as I can, and that's going to minimise the effect of it and keep it under control. So, you know, there are lots of other weeds that you're going to encounter. This one here is buttercup. Again, they grow quite big. They usually find them hiding amongst your strawberry plants, and they grow by sending off runners again. And unfortunately, these runners will root, and you can see there's one of the. Is that a strawberry runner? That's a strawberry runner. But it sends off runners like that, and they root, and the plant just grows bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's another common one you're going to find. And they're very good at hiding in strawberry plants, actually, because they do look very similar to strawberry plants. Look, there's another one. You can see that one was growing off a runner, and it sent off another runner there. So these are dead awkward. And like I said, in strawberry plants, they're very good at hiding. They're actually difficult to get out. So there's another one. I've just noticed those whilst I was sat there talking to you. So, see if I can find the rest of this plant in here somewhere. No, there it is. So, that's that gone. Ugh. Right, so, at the end of the day, with any plot, you're going to encounter weeds. If you keep it under control, like I said, you come down, hoe it over once or twice a week. It's not going to take you long, but you've got to have it under control first of all, and that's where it takes the time. And unfortunately, that's where many of us lose our enthusiasm, because let's face it, weeding isn't interesting. Weeding is boring, and you get fed up. So you've got to take an approach that makes it fun. Bring your iPod down or something like that. I mean, I would do sort of half-hour of weeding, then I go do something more interesting, something I find fun. Then I come back to the weeding, and that way I get it done. It's all sorted. It's all out of the way. And it's not a race. I mean, this is August. I'm recording this. So I'm busy preparing beds. A lot of these beds will be used for winter veg, but some of them are going to be used next year. So some of these beds I'm clearing now aren't going to be planted till next year, but by doing it now, I've got plenty of time, and I'm not going to come down the allotment in February and think, right, where do I start? I've got to clear this all by March because I need to start planting. I know when you get a new allotment, often you'll find that you feel under pressure because it's been neglected, and there's all sorts of scary rules in the allotment rules that you're given, that the policies that say you've got to keep it clear, have so much weeded and so on. But with most allotment societies, as long as you're showing progress, they're not going to get upset. You don't have to come down one day and kill yourself trying to weed it all. Look at your plot, like I did with this one. Is I looked at this and I thought, right, how can I tackle it? What's the best way of getting quick results? So I did cleared all these raised beds, which was relatively quick and easy. It didn't take an awful lot of work, and it made the plot look a lot clearer. Down the far end over there, I cut down a lot of the tall weeds. Now, if you've got tall weeds on your plot, hire a strimmer. A lot of allotment societies will have a strimmer that they can lend you, a communal one. All you might have to do is put petrol in it, or maybe buy some strimmer wire. But a lot of times they'll lend you one. If not, you can go to any hire shop and hire a petrol strimmer. And you just come along, just strim the allotment down. It'll take you a couple of hours, seriously. Just get it trimmed down. Once it's trimmed, it looks a lot tidier. What I discovered on my previous allotment is I started at the far end away from the path, and there was a lot of tall weeds. So when people walked past on the path, all they saw was these tall weeds, and they thought, no, I wasn't doing any work on my allotment. So I naturally had a visit at some point from one of the committee members saying, we're a bit concerned you don't seem to be doing anything on this plot. I walked them down the allotment, past the tall weeds, and said, I've done all this, and over half the plot was dug and planted. And their response was, oh, we didn't realise, really sorry, good job, keep it up. So I realised then that they couldn't actually see what I was doing from the path. So I went and I cut down the tall weeds, and then people realised that actually things were going on. So, again, just get the tall weeds cut down. That's a good start. Try and cover your allotment. Once you've got it down to ground level, rake it all up, put it in a pile somewhere, leave it to rot down. Then cover the soil. A lot of allotments won't let you use carpet, because carpet unfortunately gets, will put toxins into the soil, but it will also often, weeds will go through it, and I mean, I did use carpet on one plot, and I found it a nightmare to get up because the weeds had the soil had attached to it. It was really, really difficult to remove and quite unpleasant to then take to the tip. So cover your allotment with tarpaulins, black plastic, cardboard is another one, all of that. So if you cover the areas you're not digging, again, it keeps the weeds down, stops them rising up again, but it also makes it look to the allotment society like things are going on. So again, it's going to keep you on the good side. It's going to help you, you know, look like your plot's being progressed and work's going on. And then once you've covered some of it, you've trimmed it down, just work your way through it bit by bit. Clear a bit, plant a bit, clear a bit, plant a bit. Because again, the problem is if you've got a reasonable sized allotment and you try and clear it all, by the time you cleared it all the weeds will come back at the start. So my preferred policy is clear a bit, plant a bit, because then I'm getting results. You know, I've done some weeding, I get to do the fun bit of planting, and then I can watch that grow and harvest it hopefully fairly soon. So I think that's a much better approach than try and clear everything. Again, depends on the time of year as to what you can and can't do. So, you know, weeding unfortunately is a very necessary evil, and weed killers, whilst they can be effective, I would limit their use to edges. So, you know, down the side of the raised beds here where it's very hard to get a fork in and get weeds out, along the edge of paths and roads, things like that. That's a lot easier than trying to weed and get the roots out yourself. But on the actual beds themselves where you're planting, I don't think weed killers are particularly useful. You know, I think you've got to clear a bit, plant a bit, trim stuff down, cover it. You know, like you see, I've covered these beds. There's zero work now. There's nothing to be done on them at all. Until I'm ready to plant them, they just stay as is. So, you know, these other ones, minimal work, because I've cleared them properly. I've dug down, I've got all the weeds out, I've got all the roots out, and the soil is very loose. All these raised beds are going to be fantastic for next year. I'm actually writing a book on it at the moment, about raised beds. These are absolutely brilliant for next year. The soil is lovely and loose, so it's going to be really easy for me to plant stuff, keep them weed free and pull them up. So I'm quite looking forward to that. But like I say, there's some work still to be done. I could do with borrowing the communal strimmer here and strimming down the sort of path there down the middle, clearing that so that we can I can see where the edge of the plot is and things like that. And I think again, doing things like that keep the allotment society happy. So you've got to think, if someone's walking past your plot, what are they going to see? Which bits of your allotment are they going to see first? Because again, I see a lot of people say, I've been down my allotment, I'm trying to tackle all these weeds, the allotment society, the committee are harassing me because they say it's untidy. Think about what can they see when they come to your plot. What's the first thing they see? Tidy the bits they can see, and then obviously they'll see that things are happening and they'll feel happier about it. You know, this is why I tackled these raised beds first. I mean, I could have gone and tackled the really weedy bit down the end first, but I knew that's going to be awkward. Clearing these raised beds, you know, it's been great because over half my plot looks like it's been cultivated, it's been worked on, and things are happening, which makes the allotment society feel happy, gives them that warm fuzzy feeling. And now things like that one over there by the bags, I'm tackling that at the moment. That's hard work. It's taken a lot of digging, and I think so far I've dug 3/4 of that bed, and it's taken me about 2/3 maybe. It's taken me about 3 hours. It's not easy. And same, all of that down there where it's really weedy, all the stuff down the end there is going to be hard work. So I think the plan is to really just do a little bit at a time, and if I just keep doing a little at a time, then it's going to get done. If I try and do too much, if I come down and try and spend a whole day digging weeds and sorting them all out, I'm going to end up hurting myself. I'm going to be achy, I'm going to be tired, I'm going to be thoroughly fed up and not really in the mood to do it anymore. So that's why I say with weeding, little and often, try and think about how to minimise your work, cover your beds, you know, hoe them regularly, you keep them under control. I mean, I had an allotment probably similar size to this, the last one, and if I came down to hoe it, it would take me no more than 20 minutes. 2 or 3 times a week with going around with a hoe, everything was under control, it was beautifully clear. In fact, my last allotment was one of those where everyone would come along and go, I don't understand how you keep your allotment so clear. And I'd be sat there with the hoe, hoeing, and they'd go, I don't understand how you keep it so close. Well, hoeing, it's really easy. You don't need the weeds to grow big, you grab them while they're small, because you just knock the heads off and they die. So it's really, really quick and easy. If you haven't got a hoe, I really recommend you go out and buy one, because they are going to save you lots of time with weeding and help you keep your beds clear. And the other advantage, if you keep the weeds down and you keep the beds clear of rubbish and debris, you're going to keep the slugs and the snails down, because there's less space for them to hide. I mean, I had problems with them, but it wasn't as serious as a lot of people, because there was nowhere on my allotment for slugs and snails to hide. You know, it was literally a killing ground. It was bare soil, and you know, they wouldn't go across it to get to the plants. They'd usually stay somewhere easier. So again, it sounds simple, and it is, and it just takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of work. Now, weeding, as I said, we all hate weeding, but try and make it fun. Do a little bit and often, and try and do things like covering your bed, use your hoe, minimise the amount of work you have to do, because there's nothing worse than clearing an area, coming back to it a week later, or 2 weeks later, or a month later, and realising it's covered in weeds. So if you can, cover areas once you've weeded them, even if you put down cardboard. As long as it's brown cardboard, it'll break down in the soil, and that's fine, because it'll just become compost. So you can cover it, weigh it down some stones and leave it, and it will break down. You don't need to worry about removing it. You know, you can use tarpaulins, black plastic, whatever it might be. But you know, try to think about how you can minimise the work, because the less time you have to spend weeding, the more time you have for the fun things about allotmenting. So I will leave you in peace now, and I will talk to you very soon in another new episode, and hopefully we'll be making some comfrey tea soon, and there's enough of it around. Not sure what I'd use it for, so I haven't really got much planted, but I think I might make some anyway, because I know, again, a couple of people have asked about that. So we'll talk about that in a future episode. But in the meantime, I'm going back to my weeding now. I've had a break, and I will undoubtedly talk to you very soon. But drop me a line, leave me a message, and let me know how you're getting on.